We are talking sex on Religious Hard Talk. I mean, I find a way to weave in all kinds of things on this program which deals with religion. It shows the versatility of religious discourse. Yes, the penis resents.
The penis hates resentment.
It's resentment.
The penis is, you know, we treat the penis very badly, actually.
We treat the penis badly.
And we feel it's something that's quite robust and able to withstand all sorts of mistreatment. But it's quite a delicate organ.
Very sensitive.
Very sensitive, very delicate, and really ought to be treated.
Has an ego of its own.
Has an ego. Where the ego generates from, we can't say.
Yes.
But yes, when resentment builds up in a relationship, often that's a trigger for erectile dysfunction.
So erectile dysfunction is not always physiological?
Oh, most times it's psychological.
Most times it's psychological?
It's under the sexual disorders. It's listed under the sexual disorders. And the sexual disorders are not sexual diseases.
Yes.
So they are largely psychological.
Okay.
So once your doctor has checked you out, your urologist has checked you out, I usually will get a referral from your urologist asking me to see you. Or if it's a woman who is experiencing sexual aversion or hypoactive, low sex drive, her gynecologist or MD will send her over as a referral. I only take referrals.
Oh, you only take referrals?
I only take referrals.
Okay. All right. Let's go on to explain this phenomenon of the desire
discrepancy
disorder. So it's
So it's unmatched libidos, unmatched desire for sex, and unmatched expression of sexuality. Sex can mean one thing for you and another thing for me. So one of the first things I'm trying to figure out is, what does sex mean for you? You know, some people say, oh, it was just sex. It's possible it was just sex. Others say, oh, you know, sex is sacred and sex is reproductive and sex is holy. Now, if you feel that sex is holy and for reproduction and sacred, and I feel it's good fun, it's a de-stressor, it helps me to be creative, then our purpose
want to
is...
do kinky things.
That too, and I want to do kinky things. Then our reason for engaging in sex is going to be different. And that's going to affect what I ask you for and what you ask me for. And that can also create a discrepancy. Because more and more I discover that you're not interested in being adventurous.
Yes.
I'm really interested in being adventurous. I'm going to want to satisfy that need somehow.
So a person want to go outside?
I could repress the need. I could go to the internet to satisfy that need. So that whole internet addiction, a lot of it has to do with trying to find an outlet for some sexual activity. Or I might find someone who satisfies that need.
Yes.
I could also decide that I'm never going to experience that and give up on it. But that's going to make for a very poor sex life as well. Because I'm going to resent you for not providing me with the pleasures that I provide you with. You're getting all your needs met, and my needs are not met. I'm going to build up resentment towards you, and I may even cut back. So a previously high desire person, high libido person, expresses as low libido because they're not getting what they want. So they say, you know something, I can't be bothered. You want vanilla sex? You can have your vanilla sex. I want all the flavors. And I can't be bothered. So you take your teaspoon of vanilla sex and leave me alone.
And a person with a high libido
can have their libido cut.
Libido because...
And that's what we call situational. That's partner specific desire discrepancy disorder. It only happens with that partner.
Talk about these things before marriage.
It's extremely important to talk about them before marriage, because one of the things that happens is that we happily bring children into the marriage, and that's a wonderful experience. But they cut back the amount of sex we're going to have as well. So if you and I don't have the same sexual needs, and then you're preoccupied with children, and I'm not getting my needs met, that's a very dangerous cocktail. That's a cocktail that's going to go off in one way or the other. I might become workaholic, I ignore you more, I'm grumpy, I'm not interested, all I think about is the children. And it's very difficult to be sexy and raise children.
It's very difficult.
It's very difficult. But we can do it. It's possible, and it can be very pleasurable.
And a couple doesn't have to engage in sex to know whether they have sexual compatibility.
I think,
so, you know,
in my own view, you don't have to engage in sex if you're sexually compatible, but you must engage with a counselor, therapist, etc., who can lead you through the kinds of questions that are important to your sexuality, not to the taboos of the church.
So the church's prohibition against sex before marriage
can be maintained.
But it can be deleterious if one does not get the right kind of advice or have the right information.
Absolutely, because this is where I see the desire discrepancy so often.
Yes.
I also see, and I think I've seen more vaginismus cases than is normal. The vagina cannot accept any penetration.
Yeah.
Almost every client who's come in with vaginismus has a religious overlay.
Was a Christian?
Has a religious overlay.
Yes, religious.
I'm not saying which denomination. And there are religious groups that enjoy sex, treat sex with some kind of normalcy, and expect that sex should be good within the partners in a marriage. And in fact, you can report poor sex. So not all religious groups.
You know some of those groups here?
Yes, not all religious groups.
When they can report, yes.
Not
very
all
liberal.
religious groups. Well, it's not even liberal. It's a notion that sex is important, it's reproductive, it's beneficial,
but that's more
and it
among
keeps
the kind
harmony.
of New Age religions.
No, actually no.
New thought.
The oldest of the religions.
Oh, the Catholic.
No, the oldest of the religions.
Oh, the Jewish.
Yes.
Okay.
And you'll find that a lot of sex therapists are Jewish.
A lot of sex therapists.
A lot of psychologists are
and
Jewish.
Psychologists are Jewish. So the Jews, though they have the Old Testament, which is a major part of the Christian canon, you find that they are freer. They are much more liberated about sex.
Well, and there's no one blanket set of persons called the Jews. But there is teaching within Judaism that talks about the importance of sex within the marriage and the importance of the partners to satisfy each other, and the fact that they should consult a rabbi when this is not taking place, because you don't want sexually unhappy couples.
Do you think adultery can sometimes help a marriage?
I don't believe that adultery can help a marriage, but I do believe that if adultery has taken place and the partners can reconcile and can speak about not the symptom, which was the adultery, that's a symptom, but the root cause of the infidelity, and they can reconcile that root cause of the infidelity, then I believe that a marriage can move forward. And many marriages move forward beyond that occurrence.
Do you feel that Western society is living under a myth?
The myth of monogamy?
The myth of monogamy.
The myth of monogamy, yes.
You think so?
I think we haven't.
Human beings are not naturally monogamous.
I don't think we're naturally monogamous. That doesn't mean it isn't something that we could or should achieve. But I think we take it for granted that we're going to be monogamous rather than discussing, negotiating.
But it's harder to be monogamous. It's harder to be faithful to a partner these days, isn't it?
I don't know.
There's so many distractions.
No, I don't know that it's harder because
there are so many invitations to sex outside of marriage.
The invitations to sex come with other kinds of engagements. And so it is far more difficult to be a player and juggle several women than to remain with one woman. Perhaps.
But men are very skilled at that drug then.
No, they're not.
They're not?
Otherwise we wouldn't know about it.
And you do find out about it, eh?
Oh, we do find out. So
men are not as good as
they believe. As they believe. But in homes where there's polyamory, more than one partner, sometimes that polyamory satisfies that desire for multiple partners, whether on the man's part or the woman's part.
Yes.
There are men who accept that their partner requires more than one male partner. And there are women who accept that their partner requires more than one.
And you work
all over the world. Yes, I've had the occasion to work with people who are polyamorous, and happily so.
Happily so?
Yes.
They accept that their mates will desire other partners.
See, one of the things that we perhaps don't look at is we talk about open relationships, and that's a misnomer.
Okay.
It's a negotiated relationship. There are rules around how we engage with other persons.
But there are still rules.
There are always rules. There are always boundaries. And if you talk about it and agree on it and negotiate it, then sexual jealousy need not come into play. Sexual jealousy tends to come into play when one person feels that they've been hard done by.
Okay.
You're taking something from me to give to another person. And not a lot of men know how to treat two or more women well at the same time.
They don't know how to do that.
I don't know that
So it usually ends up with a zero-sum reality.
Precisely. But there are men in other cultures and certainly in ours that have managed to do that very well.
You work a lot with lesbians.
Yes, I do.
In Jamaica. There's a growing sense among people, among heterosexuals, that we're having more lesbians in Jamaica? They seem to be more open.
There's
Or is
certainly
it because of our exposure to pornography that heterosexual men are more open toward lesbian activity?
Well, we do have more outing, more people coming out and saying that they're lesbian.
Yes.
We also, I think, are accepting across the globe a notion of sexuality not being fixed.
Ah, yes.
So when a lesbian says to me, are you a lesbian? I say, not today.
It's not today. Oh, that's it.
So we have accepted this notion.
We have to end this program. You work with a lot of transgender people also.
Yes, I work with all sexuals.
You work with all sexuals.
Intersexuals, transgenders.
People are changing their
people in
gender.
transition from one gender to the other.